Bang like that, you waste too much energy because you're using too much muscle strength. Too rough that. I see.
All of you want to become profitable traders. It's the reason why you're here and you want to make money. What I'm going to mention in this video are tips from my 8 years of experience in trading the financial markets and also the previous few years that I've coached traders. Some traders getting from absolutely nothing to then trading multiple 6 figures and some even 7 figures. The first things first that you have to understand is who you are as a trader. Whether you're somebody who's brand new and this is your first time coming across any type of trading content, or whether you're somebody who's been trading the markets for a multitude of different years, you will eventually, if you haven't already come across this term retail, unless you actually have a job role with an investment bank, whether it's Citi, HSBC, JP Morgan, any kind of investment bank, and unless you work there, you're always going to be categorized as what is known as a retail investor or a retail trader. And I'll tell you why in a second. This is very important to understand because people skip over this. But getting to the point, a retail investor is somebody who trades their own money for their own financial gain. They don't trade on behalf of any institution of any kind, nothing like that. Naturally, these traders are referred to as non-professional market participants. The professional market participants are the ones who essentially trade on behalf of an institution. They're considered professional. Now, not every single person who trades on behalf of financial institutions are actually great traders, believe it or not. For example, a friend of mine, family friend actually, used to trade for Citibank a few years back. I don't exactly know what he specialized in terms of the trading aspect when he was trading there, but he made it very clear to me, not everybody who trades in an investment bank is actually a great trader. You've always got the different tiers. You've got the bottom tier, the mid tier, the high tier traders. It doesn't mean that if you are a retail trader that you're a poor trader, but it just so happens to be, as I mentioned in my previous video, I would even say 97, let's up the stat this time, 97% of people involved in the retail investment industry are terrible. And in fact, they're not even traders, they're what is known as a gambler. And now, I'm not even saying this as a joke. There's a very, very fine line between a retail investor and a gambler. And I'll get into that in later lessons. But for now anyway, getting to the point, retail investor, this is what you are. Now, why is this important to know? And it's fundamentally crucial for you to know this. And the reason being is all down to one word. And that word is information. Information, always remember this is a correlation. When information increases, wisdom decreases. This is a time-proven correlation. The more information that is available, the less wise a society becomes. There's also proof of this in the trading world. There is so much information, but the failure rate is only increasing. And why is that? It's because there is more information available than before. And the problem with information is someone like you who may be brand new, or maybe you've been trading for a few years, you won't know who to listen to. You won't know who's right, you won't know who's wrong, because everyone's saying, I'm right, this person's wrong, listen to me, don't listen to them, this is why you should learn off me, I'm the best, blah, 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 I've got this many payouts, all this nonsense. So the reason why I talked about the term retail is because you'll find a very quick way to figure out whether someone doesn't actually know what they're talking about to their entirety is if they use terms like retail in their lingo. So for example, if I will say, don't trade this method because it is retail, or don't do this because this is what retail traders do, that would then in turn purport that I am an institutional trader, wouldn't it? If I was saying to you guys, don't do this because this is what retail traders do, or the biggest mistake that retail traders make is they do this, and this is why you should do this instead, that would then purport that I am an institutional level trader, which doesn't make sense, because if you look at the Google definition of what an institutional trader is versus a retail trader, it's a very simple Google search that will help you understand the difference. That you'll find is a marketing ploy that a lot of people online use just to grab your attention. It's a very, very smart tactic because they know with asymmetric knowledge, when they know more than you, they can use terms like that to grab you in. So that's just a very quick introduction, right? And whether you're somebody who's brand new, whether you're somebody who's been trading quite a number of years, important for you to know that before we begin anything, watch out for things like that. You are a retail trader and you need to know what that means, and the purpose of it is you're trading your own money for your own financial gain, of course. Secondly, before you begin, you need to understand what a trader is and how they think like. How do they behave? How do they perform? Who is a trader? If I'm trying to teach you to become a world champion boxer, for example, you need to know what a world champion boxer is like. For example, Custamato, when he was training Mike Tyson, he didn't even let the guy step in the ring for a few weeks. All he did was literally brainwash him on the psychology of what a world champion boxer is like, and he drilled that into his mind. Because if you don't know who you are to become, how are you going to get there in the first place? If you don't know what a profitable trader thinks like, acts like, trades like, how the hell are you going to become one? That's why you're going to find a struggle to decipher between what information is worth listening to and what is not. To understand that, you need to get the traits. Okay, traits are very, very simple. First one, they're extremely patient. Extremely patient. Now, being patient doesn't just mean you wait for things. This is a big misconception. A very simple example that you've all experienced when you're hungry. Every single time you were hungry in the past, did you not notice your emotions start to get more heightened? As time went by, you're getting more agitated, more annoyed. You're being patient, but are you being patient the correct way? You'll end up saying things that you don't mean to someone. You'll end up becoming a dick, okay? And this happens to people when they get hungry. It's a very simple life example that I can give you. But the same way that waiting for an opportunity in the markets for the next couple of weeks, you might be waiting for it, but how are you waiting for it? Because that's going to massively affect your decision. These guys here are patient in the correct way. They know how to wait, when to wait, and why they're waiting, and exactly what they're waiting for. They're very, very particular people. Missed a little T there. Okay, next one is they're extremely emotionally composed. So I'm going to put emotion composed. Now this ties into being patient. For example, they take a loss or they have a win. It doesn't really move them. Now to get to that stage is very, very difficult, but it's very possible with the right training, which I'm going to get to in later lessons. People wrongly think, let me explain this point because this is ridiculous why people think this. Right, so you'll get brainwashed into believing that the more that you back test, and those who aren't familiar with that, that means when you have a particular method that you approach the market with, you go back and test that method. People have told you that if you go back and test your method over and over again, or that if you accumulate loads of losses over the years and you have that experience, you'll become more thick-skinned and you'll become much better at becoming emotionally composed. And that is 90% wrong. If you take this bottom part as being time, that would technically mean that as time goes by, so if you put skill here, that you become better. If that's the case, why have I spoken to dozens of traders who've been trading multiple years and they're still not profitable? It's the reason why you're watching this entire series in the first place, is to know how to stick it out in the right way. If the way that you're doing it at the moment is the right way to approach the markets and learning around actually becoming a profitable trader. So this is not true. With time, you don't just get better. If the information, if the info is correct, then this is true. If the info is not correct, you'll be like this. And that 97% of people that I talked about are like that. The next two traits are consistent and disciplined. To be consistent, you have to be disciplined. So these are intertwined in a way. This is very important. Every single one of you, funnily enough, actually has these traits already. You're already consistent and you're already disciplined before you come into the markets. Every single human being on the earth is consistent and they're all disciplined. But at what? Smokers, for example, are consistent and they're disciplined at smoking. People who are out of shape and fat are consistent at eating junk food and not training and living a poor, unhealthy lifestyle. You're all consistent and disciplined, but are you consistent and disciplined at the right thing? For example, when coaching people, I spot something very, very key straight away. Their language. Everybody's language is very consistent with who they are. All of you can do some introspection and figure this out for yourselves, that the way that you speak, the way that you talk, walk and act and think, all the thoughts that you're having in your mind, have you ever paid attention to it? When was the last time you actually tracked your behavior? Some of you might do this. Very rare that a lot of people do. How are you not monitoring and how are you not keeping track of your behavior, which is going to be the very reason why you succeed or fail in the end? You can learn a very, very good method to approach the market. You might already have one, but if you don't behave in the correct way, you don't think in the correct way, and you don't think like a profitable trader, you won't become one. It's the most overlooked, most under-analyzed aspect of trading is the way that you behave. You need to track it. Okay, so you are consistent and you are disciplined, but you need to restructure that to be around the right things. And that is exactly what profitable traders are like. These are the only other traits that I can talk about. So now you have an idea of what a profitable trader thinks like and their traits. You need to mold yourself into that. Third point, now you have an understanding of what kind of a trader that you are. Also know the traits of a profitable trader. Now, third point is probably the most important of the bunch. Every profitable trader has got something called a life portfolio. And what is a life portfolio? Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, I'm invested in the S&P. I've got a couple of businesses. I've got income coming in from different places. If I'm down in one of my investments, but I've got income somewhere else, it's going to balance itself out. I won't then feel that loss that I'm in one investment when I've got another investment that's up, and it cancels itself out. I'm going to draw on here the average person. Okay, this is your everyday person. Let's say all they've got is a bank account. Now in that bank account, they might have, let's say, £1,000. If they lose £300 out of that, now have a net of 700, they're going to feel that far, far more than, for example, another person who's got extra income, or they've got an investment. So I'll put INV here for investment, and they've got, let's say, £2,000 in there. Them being down £300 in terms of their bank account, they might have spent that on something, I don't know, had a night out on the weekend. They're not going to feel it as much because they know they've got extra capital sitting somewhere else. That's just a general example. Now let me talk about it from a trading perspective. So traders are focusing on these things: relationships, health. This is mainly physical health, spirituality. I don't literally mean light a room full of candles and sit there and like literally hold your hands there and meditate and pray for profitability. That's not what I'm talking about here. And then they've got trading down here. And the final one that I'm going to put here is income. Say, for example, I'm down in my trading. I have a couple of losses, drawdown, whatever it is, completely normal. But if I'm up in my relationships, my health is up, my spirituality is up, and my income's up, do you think I'm going to feel that as much? Do you think that those 2-3 losses that I would have had, or that drawdown streak that I'm in, I'm going to feel it as much? Of course you won't, because you're up in other areas of your life. Now imagine you have nothing nothing in your life that's good other than trading. All you've got in your life is literally trading. Because I get it. You're all passionate, you know, and you love what you do. I do, okay? I've been trading for 8 years plus. I love trading. But if all you've got good in your life is trading and you're now down in that, it's not going to be good. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel those losses a lot deeper. You're going to feel that losing streak a lot deeper. You're going to feel those break-evens a lot deeper. So profitable traders all have a structured life portfolio. Very, very important. To structure your life portfolio well, you need to know where the hell you're going in the first place. That's you now. This is where you want to get to. If I was to say to you, wake up tomorrow and you've got $10 million in your trading account, you're profitable, you've done all those things, you've had a few watches, you've had the nice cars, you've got all this stuff, right? You've got a nice house, etc. Do you even know where you're going to go next? Do you even know what your purpose in life is? Now, I know that's a very deep question to ask and not everybody's going to have that figured out in the beginning, but are you even attending your mind to focus on those things? What do you think your actual purpose on this earth is? And the reason why this is very, 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 very important, and the reason why this is critical, I'm telling you, it's so important, is that when you actually get access to the money that you want to trade and you start making the money, people hit a brick wall because they've put that on a pedestal for so long, they don't know what the hell's next. I've seen it hundreds of times. People go full time, they get bored. They've got no purpose, no fulfillment, nothing. They might have made 50,000, 100,000, whatever it might be. They've splurged and they don't know what to do anymore. They've got access to the money that they always dreamt of having, but they don't know what to do next. And again, when you've got shit education out there and you've got people who are inexperienced giving you invaluable information, you're gonna go in a downward spiral. It's gonna get worse and worse and worse for you, and that should not be the case. You need to have some kind of planning and some kind of structure. Not everything's gonna go to plan, but you have to have a structure of what exactly do you want your life to look like. You need to write it out as if you're literally directing a movie, and you need to understand it in layman's terms. Where are you actually going? If I want to drive to London, I know the pathway that I need to take in order to get there. My sat nav's going to calculate the quickest route for me to get there. But if I don't even know the destination, what's the sat nav going to calculate? It's not even going to give me a pathway to follow. So if you don't know where the hell you're going and you think making money is the end of it, you're going to get lost in your tracks. Now, obviously we know to get from where you want to get to where you want to be, you need the skill to trade the markets. How are you going to get the skill? Information. As I said before. Now, your source of information has to come from a structured education source. I'm not going to go into explaining the stupidity behind people who tell you you don't need a mentor, you don't need education. It's silly. I don't want to lose brain cells talking about this. Ignore them people. They don't know what they're talking about. To get the skill, you need the right information. And to get the right information, you need a structured education source. Link in the bio. You might be wondering what in the world defines good education? Because there's a lot of it out there. And as I said before, the principle that I gave you, the correlation of the more information you have, the less wisdom there naturally is. One of my favorite quotes that I like to go by, that we're living in a day and age where we're drowning in information but starving of wisdom, and it's food for thought. So what defines good education? This is the second point. Because if education is going to be literally the thing that gives you the skill that's going to carry you through from where you are now to where you want to be, how do you actually get good education? Well, I mean, hint, hint. You need to learn off somebody who's got experience in the market, the right type, so I'm going to put right here. And this leads on to the next point, that they've actually got wealth through the skill. Wealth doesn't mean you're trading a $1 to $2 million account. That's not wealth. True wealth, very simple. You have assets that are appreciating in value, that are saving you more time, and your income isn't dependent on one source. They've not just got one pocket where they can dive into for money. They've got multiple different assets, multiple different pockets that they can actually pick into in order to attain money. These are the kind of people that could stop trading today and they won't need to trade ever again because investments and assets are paying for their lifestyle and their future generations. These are the kind of people you want to learn from. So this is a major problem, because what's happening is the majority of people who are teaching you now, their wealth is literally categorized in this. A prop account. For those of you who are not aware, a prop account is an account that is given to you by companies that fund you and give you money and say that, well, if you can do what you say you can do, which is trade profitably, then we'll give you access to loads of money. In most cases, this is simulated money. So if you've got $1 million in one account, in one prop account, you don't own that money. That's not yours. Okay, that's money given to you. You don't have ownership over it. You can't extract anything you please. You can only extract that of which the profit that you made on that account. That's very, very important to understand. Somebody who's got $1 million or £1 million in personal capital of owned money compared to somebody who's got it in prop capital, one is actually a millionaire trader and the other person is managing 7 figures. It's a far big difference. These kind of people, they're gonna have a certain type of experience. There's only so many things that they can teach you about. Their financial literacy is only gonna expand so far. And if you're aiming to get to such big heights, do you really wanna learn off somebody whose wealth is only categorized off of one pocket like this, a prop account? Really? That's like learning how to get in shape off somebody who's fat. You wouldn't do that. Second point, infrastructure. Now, I know these terms sound boring, but this concerns your future, so it's important. Infrastructure is key. For example, at Falcon, we've got a pathway where you start here, so this is you. You learn the skill, through content, material, weekly webinars, all that kind of stuff. Again, you've got all that there. Then you get to a point where you've got access to funding through our in-house fund. We're not affiliated with anybody. We've got our own funding company in-house, which means we are more flexible with the rules that we can give to our students. Our students are better suited with this fund because it's designed in a way that caters for them and not against them. And this was specifically designed in that way for that reason. We're also got attached with that is literally in the works at the moment, the property fund. Okay, so students that make money through our funding program, they might, for example, be managing 500,000 each. There might be 10 of them. It's a total of $5 million in capital allocation. There might be a deal that pops up that says, well, there's this property available, whether it's residential or commercial. It's going to give you this much ROI per year. This is the investment required. It might be something like $250,000 down. These traders can get together and think, well, in Q1, we just made 20%. Okay, in total. Now, if they're managing $5 million in total capital allocation, that's $1 million. 25% of that is the investment required, 250K. They all split that amongst themselves. They can then get access to a property that can yield X amount of return, and they can split that amongst themselves. We've pretty much built this property fund, and that's happened how? Through Mark's contacts. That's the power of having a proper mentor. I'm not going to bore you with all the multitude of different things that we've got for students. Again, that can be given forward in a different video, but this is lesson based. Again, education. This is what proper education looks like.